Hi everyone, super excited to be back again to bring to you another workshop. So my name is Rachel Akers, if you haven't seen me before, and I am working with Creative Active Lives to bring you some online workshops. So I am bringing to you today an Origami Star workshop. You should have some worksheets with you. But they can be a little bit complicated to work out, so it's really good to follow the video because I'm going to show you exactly how to make it. So I'm going to start off by showing you one of our lovely origami stars. So they all have 9 pieces of paper that we fold and we stick together. We don't actually stick them because it's origami, you don't need to. You fold together to create this star. And what I've done is, just to give you a few examples of what you can do, is I have made some different sizes. So here's a little itty bitty one, and then if you don't have, so basically I have origami paper, so this is my little book and it has all sorts of origami beautiful coloured paper in it, and they are already square because most origami pieces do start with a square piece of paper. So if you have this, fantastic, but if you don't, I am going to show you exactly how to get your square pieces of paper, so you don't need to worry about that at all. So what I've done here, just to give you a few more examples, is I used A4 paper and I folded it to create the square, which I'm going to show you later, but this created an absolutely huge star. So we've got a really big star here, but then when you create something like this and you cut your squares out, you'll have lots of little pieces of paper left over. So then what I did was I created squares out of these, and we've got a smaller one. So it really doesn't matter what paper you use. I'm going to show you how to make this star using already square pieces of paper because I've got my origami book. But just to start with, I'm going to show you how to fold your paper and create your squares. So if all you have at home is white A4 paper, that is absolutely fine, because you could make a Christmas star. It would look beautiful, like a snowflake, or you could draw patterns on it and create it from the patterns you've drawn. But to start with, all you have to do, I'm going to angle the camera down a bit just so you can see what I'm doing here, and I'll show you how to create your squares, and then we'll start with doing the star. So down we go. Now, here's my A4 piece of paper, and all you do, if you want to create a really big star, it is very big, is you just fold it so that it's perfectly aligned in the corner. Can you see how it goes right up to the corner there? Because you want this square to be really neat. So we just create our square by folding it like that, so it's got a point at the end. And then you see this bit here, we literally just cut that off. So we cut it right up to the triangle, and there you've got your square. Perfect to start off with if you want to make an absolutely humongous star. So what I would recommend, if you don't want one that's quite so big, is we start off by folding our A4 piece of paper in half, which creates an A5 piece of paper, and then we cut that in half, and then using exactly the same process, we just make sure that we get this beautiful point on our triangle, which I will show you in a minute, just like that, so that you know you've got a perfect square. And then we will cut that off there. And you've got lots of little pieces of paper, so what I'm going to tell you is save those because I want to show you something later. And then we've got our square again. So that's what you do if you don't have origami paper, but it doesn't matter at all. As I said, you can just create with anything you have lying around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create using these lovely squares of origami paper. One thing you can do with these, I'll show you just to start with, to make this smaller star, all I did was I folded my origami paper into 4 and I chopped it along those folded lines, and then I got much smaller pieces, so that creates the much smaller star. So it's entirely up to you what size you want to make. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to fold. I'm just going to angle it down a little bit further. I'm going to show you how to fold each piece of paper to connect it together to create this star. You need 9 squares, and then you just fold all of them in exactly the same way. So it's really simple. We take our square, we fold it into a triangle, and if you've already made a triangle, if you've already made a square out of an A4 piece of paper, you're going to have it already folded like this. But there we go, so we've made our first fold, and then we open it back out again. If I bring this a little bit closer to you, the first fold we make is from here, we fold the bottom right hand side up. You're watching this upside down, so if you're thinking about it from my angle, we fold the bottom up like that, and that's the shape that we get. And what we want to do then is turn it around like I just did to show it to you to the camera, and then we fold the other side, the other bottom, which is now the other bottom, right, because you've turned it around, and we fold that up to meet the other. Now what you need to make sure of is that you try and get a really good point in the corner. If you don't, just refold it, because it needs to be quite neat, so you've got sharp points at each side. So then you end up with a shape like this. Now what you need to do is on this side, which is pointing towards you, you fold this piece down again to make a really nice point to meet the halfway mark. I will show you this again and again so that you can see how to do it, but this is what we then need. You can see how one of the points has been turned down. Now what we do is we have to flip it over like this. You'll know if you're going to fold this the wrong way, because there's a way of telling that it's not going to be in the right angle. If I turn this around and I start folding it and it doesn't look right, well, no, I'll show you why you know you're going to be folding it the right way. So from this point here to this point here, we need to fold along that line. We lift it up, and the reason you can tell you're doing it right is because there's going to be this little extra flap of paper. I'll show you once I've folded it. You see this little extra flap here? That piece shows you that you folded it along the right line, because then that piece also needs to be folded over. If you don't see that piece, then you know that you folded it the wrong way. So I've folded that piece over there, and that's it. That is your first point of your star. Now it may sound a little bit complicated. I'm going to show you again so that you know how to make it, because you just need to do exactly the same process 9 times to create this star. So I'm going to put this one over here, and I'm going to get another piece of paper. Start the process again. We're going to fold across here so that we've got our triangle, and we open it out. And then remember what I said before, we take one side and we fold it up towards the center. So we're going to make that really nice crisp line. We're going to have that nice point at the bottom, and we're going to make a nice crisp line like this. I'll show you from the other way around. That's how we want it. And then same again, once you've turned it around, you take that piece and you make that crisp line again and make that fold. So there you have this interesting shape. Now, having it in front of you like this, we take the top right, and again we want a nice crisp point at the top and bring it down to the center. got our nice crisp point, and we bring it down like this and we make that fold. So if I hold it up again, there's that fold that you've just done. If I turn that back to me, what I want to do now is flip it over so that I've got the kind of fatter bit that we haven't folded yet at the bottom. And then again, we turn it over from line to line. And you know again that you've got the right thing, the right fold, because you've got this extra little piece just here that you also need to fold over. So I'll fold that piece over. And there we go. So when I turn that back, what we do now, this is the fun bit, is we slot this inside each other. And then this little flap here that you've got needs to just go, if you can see this, behind. It's very hard to show you on here, but so that, hang on a minute, mine's come undone a bit. So that it is slotted together like this. So all it is it slots in behind one another. Can you see how that works? Kind of difficult to show you on here, but I'm hoping also that the instructions help you understand how to slot it together. So now we've got two, we just need to continue the process. So I'm going to keep folding and hopefully you can see how to do it, and I'm going to slot each one together. So we'll keep going for now. There's my next piece. Okay, so I'm going to try again to show you how to slot this together. I'm going to try from a different angle and see if it'll help. So this piece goes under and in, slides into this piece, and then this little flap from the other one, just tucks into here. So you just tuck it behind like that, and that's how it all kind of just comes together. So now we've got 3 points to our star, and we just keep going. So I'm going to continue like that. I hope you can see how to slot that together, and I will keep going until I've done all 9 pieces. We'll see how we go. See how as I'm making this, starting to look like a star. All you have to do sometimes is fiddle around with it a bit, but it's easier to do that at the end because you need to pull them out a little bit so that they create this shape in the inside. But I'll show you that a little bit later on when we're finishing off. I've only got 4 more to make, so I will just keep going now and show you the finished product. I'm just changing paper because I don't want exactly the same pattern next to each other. That's just me. I thought I'd chosen 9 completely different pieces of paper, but it looks like one of them is a bit similar. So I will use that one, but just not straight away. There we go. Always making sure that the point is really sharp at the bottom, because it does make a difference if it's a little bit wonky to how it fits together. This one together again, so slots inside and that little flap just slots into there. I hope you are able to see how that works. It's quite tricky to show you on here, but we only have 2 more to go. Here we go, folding it in half. As long as you make sure that it's the bottom right that goes up, and when you turn it around, bottom right again, folding it to the centre. Each one is exactly the same process, and you can slot it together. You'll see what I mean if you turn it over and you don't have that flap. You know that you've folded it the wrong way. So as long as you've got that flap, that little extra bit to fold up, then you'll be absolutely fine. So that's number 8. Ooh, you can see it can be a little bit fiddly, but the effect at the end I just love. So hang on a second. I've got 1 more to make, and then I need to show you how we just finish this off and fit that last one into this little space, because it's a little bit fiddly. I'm wondering how I'm going to show you that, but you can see that there's 1 more space there where we don't have one. So I'll show you this last fold. Like this. I'm nearly there. Now this bit is going to be interesting, how I will show you how to finish this off. Okay, so we have our final piece here, and we need to slot it in exactly the same way into this piece, and again that little flap there, needs to go behind there like that, so it holds it in. And then we do a little bit of wiggling to get the right shape, but you can see how our first one here, should fit exactly into that gap. And then again, just to finish it off, we lift that flap and we slot it in just like we have with all the others. And then we give it a little bit of a pull around, a little bit of opening up, so that all of these spaces in the middle are even. And there we have our lovely Origami Star. I'm just going to lift up to see you again. Hello. So this is the side that's folded, but if you have a look, this is the way we make it as we fold it. But if you have a look, when we turn it over, it's got this lovely pattern. So you could have it either way you like, but I really like this pattern that we get on the other side. So that's how you make them. As I said, if you chop all the pieces up, you can make them in all sorts of different sizes, which is really fun. And this is just a little something to show you at the end that I thought was really fun. I had these teeny tiny pieces. When I was chopping up my A4 pieces of paper, I had this little scrap of paper left over. So not even this actually, I've just suddenly thought it was even smaller than that. So I made a smaller star. Let me just show you by cutting this up, and I'll show you what I was left with because it's great. So I made this, and what I was left with was this tiny strip. So I folded it and ended up some tiny squares, but it's great. Teeny tiny squares this big. So this one is if you've really got the hang of it, you know exactly what you're doing and you're ready for a fiddly job, because then I ended up making this little teeny tiny star. There we go, out of these tiny squares. So all I'm saying really is, don't throw all your scraps of paper away, because you can make squares of any size, and as long as they're perfect squares, you can make as many of these stars as you like. And one of the things I thought that would be lovely is you could turn this into a kind of a mobile. So all you need to do is put a little bit of a string hanging from one of the tips and hang them from the ceiling, or you could get a cross of some cardboard or something and hang them off this cardboard like a little mobile. You can put them at different levels and it'd be really lovely. I have about 6 stars now, and I'll probably just keep making some because it's really fun. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I hope that made sense, because it was quite hard to show you how to fold it properly from that position, but hopefully you've got an idea of what to do, and the PDFs are going to help you because it has a step-by-step process of how to fold, but watching the video can really help too. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and I will look forward to the next one.